Hello and good morning, everyone. I'm Professor Angela Carbone, the Associate Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Learning, Teaching and Quality in the STEM College at RMIT, and the Director of the Australian Awards for University Teaching. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land. I live in Carnegie, Melbourne, on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri people, but wherever we are, I pay my respects to their elders, both past, present and future. First, I'm pleased to see that the Queensland University of Technology is showcasing teaching excellence and using this as an opportunity to explore the creativity and innovations made by our educators to improve student engagement and the quality of student learning in a very challenging time. I'm also delighted to see that the organisers have invited past National Teaching Award recipients to be part of this showcase, and I feel very privileged to be among such a group of talented and excellent teachers. The theme of the showcase is learner engagement in challenging times, and what extraordinary challenging times we have endured over the past 2 years. Over a decade ago, we were concerned about the threat of MOOCs, the surge of blended learning approaches and advances in technology, but we continued to teach predominantly face-to-face. However, during the COVID pandemic, institutions were forced to rapidly reimagine the student experience and student engagement in an online world. And getting it right has never been more important. By student experience, I'm referring to the whole student journey, from the moment they receive their acceptance letter to when they graduate and receive their degree. According to research, student experience is influenced by their sense of belonging. And it's that sense of belonging that helps students navigate the complexities of university and stick to their university studies. By student engagement, I'm referring to the students' connection, their excitement and desire to learn in their chosen field. Research by John Hattie and others suggests there are two critical things that are essential for effective teaching that engages students in their learning. One is the teacher's knowledge of the subject content, and the second is their general pedagogical knowledge. And teachers need expertise in both the content and pedagogy, knowing which teaching techniques works well in your field, how students work with subject-specific concepts, and how to link and develop ideas as you guide students through a course of study are part of what helps students stay engaged. We know that the change to digital has left students feeling isolated, disconnected, and facing mental health challenges like never before. Students are feeling left out in the same virtual spaces institutions are relying on to make them feel connected. Research by Deal and Lee in 2021 showed that up to 80% of uni students don't read their assigned readings. This might be one indicator of disengagement. In order to engage students, universities need to include a strategy to provide that sought-after engagement students are looking for, whether they're studying on campus or working online. Since the start of the COVID pandemic, many educators have spent a considerable amount of time rethinking their pedagogy, genuinely exploring new forms of online delivery, technologies and resources to engage their students and support their learning. We've had to quickly move to teach online, classes have been reinvented, technologies affordances have been embraced, laboratories and tutorials were redesigned for asynchronous delivery, and assessment completely rethought. And many of these changes have been reflected in the submissions to the teaching awards. Unfortunately, the rapid transition to online didn't translate to an increase in student engagement, and that's reflected in the Australian 2020 Student Experience Survey, which shows significant national drops in learner engagement and the perception of teaching. We have also seen massive changes in the world around us that hinge on the use of technologies. In fact, the Australian government just recently announced that they'll be investing millions in critical technologies. It's going to change the way we live. We've already seen the introduction of driverless cars. We shop online, and with more advances in AI and automation, this will become embedded deeper in our society. During the past 2 years, the students' experience has primarily been a digital experience. So we need to provide students with the best learning experience going forward, whether it's face-to-face or in a digital environment. And finally, employers want a T-shaped graduate who has deep disciplinary knowledge, along with key skills that cut across social, cultural, and economic boundaries. Our challenge going forward, therefore, is how to respond to the current challenges while maintaining student engagement. The COVID pandemic has opened many people's minds to studying, working, and living in a virtual world. According to reports by Campus Technology, the augmented and virtual reality market will grow to more than 8 times its current size over the next 5 years, making it the fastest growing category amongst emerging devices. Facebook has introduced Metaverse, which aims to make communication, business meetings, topical interactions, and friendly discussions completely natural in a virtual environment. So what can we do to improve student engagement in an increasingly digital world? Let me share some of the exciting things we're doing at RMIT in the disciplines of chemistry, cell biology, and aviation. In chemistry, Professor Michelle Spencer is making 2D a 3D reality. A common task in chemistry is for students to work with molecules when designing drugs. In Michelle's case, students are working on the morphine drug, which is made from the poppy plant. She's introduced augmented reality to allow students to investigate molecules and work on a 3D structure that they have control over. She describes this as taking learning out off the page to provide students with a more engaging learning experience. In cell biology, Associate Professor Donald Vlodkovic is bringing lab simulations through the use of Labster into the realm of VR. Students are immersed in the digital lab world where they can perform tasks and interact with high-end equipment found in research laboratories. This is particularly useful for teaching large classes where equipment might be limited, and also enables lab experiments that might be too expensive, dangerous, or ethically controversial to be conducted in class. And finally, in aviation, Associate Professor Nick Connolly is incorporating a variety of technologies, H5P, PebblePad, Flipgrid, and virtual reality into her courses. And she uses virtual reality to provide an immersive experience for students at an emergency flight crash site. Here, students have to recognise 19 hazards, which of course wouldn't be feasible if she was taking the class in a face-to-face environment. These academics and many others strive to maximise student engagement and success in their learning and are attempting to address some of the challenges facing higher education by harnessing the affordances of technology in the classroom. With advances in technology and the development of blended learning approaches, institutions need to support their educators with professional learning and upskilling to shift the ways they teach and to ensure that students are adopting deeper and more engaged approaches to their learning. In one of my previous roles, my team and I developed a set of evidence-based innovative modules that were cutting edge of modern technology. They drew on practices from citation holders, award-winning teachers, former grant recipient holders, and fellowship recipients. These modules were addressing the key challenges of the time and drawing on the latest learning and teaching practices. Today, you will hear from some of Australia's leading educators that come from a variety of disciplines that are challenged yet inspired by these uncertain times. They will showcase some of the innovative and creative work gone into overcoming the challenges you might be facing in your own disciplines. And there are many challenges facing learning and teaching in this new digital education environment. And the only way we will thrive to make students' learning more engaging is by advancing pedagogical cultures of creativity and innovation. Finally, I'd like to thank each of you for attending this showcase and your unique and important contribution to learning and teaching. I know the sector is very proud of your dedication and commitment to prepare our students for the future. I trust you'll find the Learning and Teaching Showcase valuable and you are inspired by your colleagues to strive for quality education. I hope you enjoy the showcase, and I leave you with one final question of how will you foster engaged learner engagement in your own students? Thank you and enjoy the showcase.